Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. With the Rostermania period well underway right now, further changes it seems for many of these teams. Los Angeles Guerrillas especially, after the rumours that Spart might be coming back in for Gunless, considering other changes. Neptune, after all the talk the Crimsix had a few months ago but no one wanted him in the league, is apparently a hot target of two teams, and where he goes will cause a huge ripple effect as to what these rosters look like going into Major 4. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new. As always, I would greatly appreciate it. Really up to the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that one. If you guys haven't checked out yet the Stage 3 major meme recap that the boys did on the Breaking Point channel, absolutely do so. This is honestly one of the most funny video I think I've watched that we've produced on the channel, and it's just honestly just quality content. So yeah, check it out. I'll leave the link down below if you guys haven't enjoyed it already. We'll try and do more for the rest of the season if it gets good reception, but it takes a lot of time to edit this stuff together. Details apparently of the Modern Warfare 2 beta. The data's apparently been leaked to be around August the 15th, so we'll see if that actually comes to fruition, but it sounds about right. We'll see when the pros actually get to play it then, whether any of the kind of feedback they gave at the pre-alpha build has actually got, taken into account, which, maybe won't be the case as we might expect at this point. Now, let's talk about this Rostermania stuff. Firstly, this from Doug real quick, a couple of Clay's teammates, Bracken, 2Real, potentially, saying, okay, why are these guys not getting offers? Do these coaches even pay attention to chances at all? Because some of the players getting talked about right now, one might argue, recycled players from kind of the circuit early this season, not giving, chances to guys like 2Real, kind of new to the scene. Bracken, of course, been around a few years as well, but he's certainly a player that's, shown up so far this season. We'll see if they give any of these guys a go, because there are trials going on right now. The likes of the Florida Mutineers, potentially Los Angeles Guerrillas as well. We'll see how they play out over the coming days, because they could be trying many different players. Now, firstly, wanted to mention this from Rambo, actually, because Vivid and Crimsix, of course, they were teaming last year on the Dallas Empire. Crim had a hilarious clip, actually, where he said that he didn't even know Vivid's last name. I'll share that for you guys at the end of the video. I know you guys like the outro clips, but if I did them every single video, then they get a bit, repetitive, So if I find something particularly funny, I will still chuck it at the ends. But effectively, Rambo is saying how last year, Vivid and Crimsix just did not get on at all last year together, effectively. Saying that they really had different mindsets, really, in how they were playing the game as teammates, I suppose. Saying that, okay, he still thinks Vivid is a really solid player, though, and is surprised he's getting dropped from Florida, at least as the current rumor. He may still come back to the team, though, depending on what happens with Neptune.
How would you characterize Vivid's influence last year? Are you surprised he didn't end up with Crim? Oh no, Crim and him didn't like each other at all. It's not saying too much, but yeah, they were not fans of each other. So the fact that they didn't end up the same team was not surprising. But in terms of influence, I thought Vivid was a great fit for us. I think Vivid's a good player. I think he has the mental and understanding of the game to play at a high level. So
let's dive into the implications here. So firstly, John tweets this out, a really annoying year, really excited for the future and what is to come. So John effectively confirming, it seems, that he's probably not going to be on Paris anymore. The rumour there is that minus John plus Johnny that we looked at yesterday morning. So yeah, probably that's going to be the case at the very least. Now let's dive into this. So if you guys kind of missed the story, Mutineers looking to trial up MajorManiak and Neptune in place of Vivid and Dave Paddy. We talked about that in length, of course, yesterday. And this was the other one, John for Johnny, or Johnny for John, and Spart potentially in for Los Angeles Guerrillas, probably in place of Gunless, we would imagine. Now, this came out from Aches last night to kind of preempt this type of stuff. Reality can be whatever I want. When he predicted that they would only keep Slasher and Huke and get rid of Asim and Gunless. Now, as soon as he tweeted this out, I thought it was kind of interesting because we hadn't heard anything at that point from Crone as to what the further changes might potentially be. Now, Aches kind of said at the time, try and get Hydra, try and get Scrappy in, but apparently they might be getting other players to fill those roles instead. And those kind of players that, so far, Los Angeles Guerrillas with Asim and Gunless, I suppose, the last few weeks or so, that have probably been the two biggest underperformers, but it's not like Slasher and Huke have been good either for pretty much the entirety of this season. But this is what Chrome points out. Guerrillas have also reached out to Neptune, possibly other players too. MajorManiak to Mutineers is still likely, assuming a deal can be finalized with Minnesota, and Neptune's landing spot decides a lot here, including Vivid and Asim / Huke's future, so no guarantee as to which SMG is going to be gone on that side, but apparently Neptune might be in consideration. This would be kind of crazy if Neptune goes from teaming with Clay and Crim and not getting on well with them to then teaming with Slasher at the end of the year, but apparently Neptune they're reaching out to, so I guess they've trialed him with Florida have trialed him out, and now Guerrillas like, okay, maybe we'll get Neptune instead, right? Because his Search and Destroy has been good. They maybe think he can be a good slaying force. He has a lot to prove, of course, in the league as well, and it'd be kind of incredible if Neptune manages to get a spot on the team that makes the World Championship, and Crimsix does not, right? I mean, that would obviously, and Clayster, of course, as well. I think he got on with Clay to a degree, but certainly Crimsix and Neptune were not particularly best defense on that New York subliner side, so it would be a kind of crazy turn of events if these guys could even, I don't know, play each other for a spot at the World Championship Premiership, as Chrome points out here in a second. But yeah, Los Angeles Guerrillas looking to get rid of either Asim or Huke, and also probably bring Spart back in for Gunless. If you guys were the general manager of Guerrillas, what would you do? Which player would you get rid of, Asim or Huke? Because I feel like on the whole, if you take the entire performance from this season, I think Asim has been better than Huke. But in terms of what you want to bring in alongside, let's say you do want to bring in a Neptune or something alongside these guys, like, you know, what player do you want alongside Neptune? Do you want a Huke alongside him, kind of former Halo guys, or do you want an Asim? It's kind of tough to say, depending on what you think Neptune's going to bring to the team. I might be inclined to say that Asim is the safer bet to keep in the team, but there's also no guarantee there, because Huke has good name value. Like, it kind of comes down, I imagine, to what Slasher thinks really as to what's going to be the best here. But yeah, I'd be surprised, and I'd feel bad for Asim if he gets dropped after a couple of weeks of bad performances, despite being their best player for the majority of the first part of the season. But it does seem like Gunless is probably going to be gone in favor of Spart again, and then either Asim or Huke are going to be gone. Not necessarily for Neptune, it could be for other players as well, but they seemingly do want to make a two-person change here, which probably is necessary. We talked about it yesterday, right? Bringing Spart back in for Gunless is not going to be enough to take this team where they need to be if they want to improve significantly. So MajorManiak to Mutineers is still likely, and who knows, if Guerrillas decide they don't want Neptune and decide they want somebody else instead, maybe one of those guys or 2Real or something that, you know, Cento was just talking about, then maybe Neptune does go to Mutineers anyway. And if Neptune does go to the Mutineers, then Vivid, I suppose, would be available, at which point Vivid could potentially get signed again by Los Angeles Guerrillas if they wanted to, replacing, I don't know, an Asim. Then you could have a Vivid and Huke SMG duo. Like, there's so many potentials here, but yeah, seemingly it depends which team wants Neptune, if any, as to what's actually going to happen over these next couple of weeks. A few further updates on Rostermania stuff. They could potentially be discussing things internally, that being Boston, but apparently for now they're not going to make a change. He hasn't heard anything about Boston making a move. Probably also like the Paris thing is going ahead, as we just looked at. Haven't heard anything different, he said. So that's kind of the current updates that we have, at least in the scene. And as Graham points out as well, Neptune versus New York for a spot at champs, that would be absolutely superb. So we'll see if that's even possible. But if Neptune is, well, at least looking or trialing with two different teams to get back into the league, it's not out of the realms of possibility. These guys could play each other for the rest of the season, which would be an absolute banger, right? Given what happened not long ago. Like, Crimsix even revealed back in April that no one even gave an offer for Neptune, especially Neptune, just because he said, okay, everyone realizes this guy plays the game terribly. But now having gone down to challenges and maybe proved himself again with a few good results, winning the Toronto kind of open series as well, or the open side of that Major 3, then now he's actually getting some offers in the league again. And, you know, we'll see if he can get some good matchups with Crim for the rest of the season. Wanted to show a couple of clips real quick here. One from Octane and one from the Optic guys as well, just kind of reacting to, well, to some of these changes. And Octane also revealing that one of these tweets the Corona has done is 100% guaranteed to be true. Maybe it's the Mutineers one, who knows? You guys can speculate on that. But saying that actually there's about 3 changes being made, which would kind of correlate to what we have just seen.
Wait, leak the new rosters? Sorry, guys. No intel. Unless you guys want to gift me subs, then we can negotiate. I did play one of the new rosters today. I'm not going to tell you guys who, but... new rosters. Okay. All right, guys. Listen, all I will say... Hold on, let me go... Because I know Crone tweeted. I'll give you guys something. Okay. Okay. One of Crone's tweets is 100% guaranteed. I'm not going to tell you guys which one. One of the new rosters? There are multiple, yes. There is more than one. More than 2. More than 2. You look good like right on. We scrimmed one of them.
I mean, appreciate that. Dude, I might have to think away, man.
Wait. What happened with Paris? What happened with Paris? Say it again.
Paris is, apparently Paris is changing, LAG's changing, and Florida's changing.
Holy.
They're all changing it. What are your initial thoughts? What are your initial thoughts?
So that means Johnny's on the team then.
What happened?
That means Johnny's on the roster, no?
Maybe.
Oh.
Maybe. Or
So
like,
then he's probably on LAG.
You think so?
Yeah, him and Kyler are boys.
It would make sense, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would make some sense.
Dude, what?
For who though? They're trialing. Everybody's trialing players these days, man.
I mean, there's one more major. I mean,
That's what I'm saying. Like,
better get those trials in.
Paris is making changes now? You
Still,
know what I'm saying?
a little late.
It's a little late, bro.
I I mean,
The other discussion here actually is around Clayster, right? Because of course Clay's having a pretty hard time lately, just trying to think what's going on. He said in this clip actually to Skies right here, effectively like, get me a trial somewhere. He was talking to Skies, being like, look, you're doing some trials right now, get me a trial in the team. Of course, like Clayster in theory wouldn't make sense in that team because you've got Skies got Awakening, but the way that they're planning it with MajorManiak coming in, you would think that, okay, if they actually want to get rid of Dave Paddy and bring in another AR, and of course we talked yesterday that MajorManiak in theory is a relatively lateral move, but he does bring more search and destroy prowess, which maybe they feel like that team needs. But in theory, if we were getting rid of Dave, bringing in Major, then, you know, you could theoretically bring in Clayster to that spot as well. So he's saying to Skies, though, please give me a trial, let me have something right, because of course he's been on a pretty hard time the last couple of months or so. But in fairness, after all the drama in Challenges, he does actually find himself in the Challenges Elite, because he failed to qualify, of course, got a kind of reverse swept Game 5 round 11 by Prestinni's guys. But after these changes with Neptune and MajorManiak looking like they're getting a spot in the league, he's now got this team with Brack, 2Real and Fellow that actually does have this elite spot. So I guess, you know, not too bad for Clayster at the end of the day. He manages to get the spot in regardless. This also wanted to shout out Donny Temp before we close out the video, because he's been killing it lately on the content side. He's actually been uploading so many videos, it's honestly out of control. He uploads like 3 a day sometimes. He's got his YouTube partnership, just love to see it. It's honestly great to see players like this, because Tim has been one of the most entertaining players for a very long period of time, and it's good to see that he's saying, okay, look, Paris, it's not going great this year, but like, let me build my brand out, let me kind of build the personality, and people are really loving his content lately, and for good reason, because he's an entertaining guy. It's about time he gets on the content train, to be honest, and I'm sure he's going to absolutely kill it if he keeps up the consistency. So love to see it for Donny. Hopefully going to break the trend of Paris being a death sentence for players' careers. And just to mention this before we finish out from X here, blows my mind. This was 10 years ago, a couple of days ago now. This is, well, the quantum leverage, or maybe just leverage as it was at the time team back in the day. We got Scumpy, we got X. I mean, look at TV's glasses right here. This is just absolutely vintage stuff. But very much intrigued to your thoughts and all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit the like button, tell us your YouTube gods. This is a good video. I just like you should see it as well. And I've got the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.
Reese was a good teammate, but like, it was just, I mean, dude, if you put a gun to my head and said, what is Vivid's last name? Like, I'm going to hell. Or probably not heaven, but probably hell. You know, I'm like, I didn't know anything about him. And to me, it was like I don't want to bash